with respect at a basic foundational level, saying, I see you, we are fellow Americans, and we have been sent here to do a job, to solve problems for the people of this country. Whether we agree on most things or we only agree on one thing, let's work together to get that job done. And it worked. The very first bill that I introduced into Congress, when professional politicos in Washington said, don't even try to pass legislation because they won't let you get it through, the very first bill that I introduced was passed through the House of Representatives, the Senate, and signed into law by President Obama within my first year in Congress. And when the time came when I was, introducing an amendment, let's say there was one to the education bill that many people said would be dead on arrival because the Republican majority had traditionally opposed other people's efforts to introduce this same legislation that would reauthorize the Native Hawaiian Education Act. I said, no, we got to go for it. We got to give it our best shot. There's a lot of kids who are counting on us. We introduced the amendment. It was scheduled to come to the floor for a vote. As expected, the Republican leadership put out a memo to all of their members saying, vote against the Gabbard Amendment. But instead of it just dying a partisan death on the House floor, I started getting phone calls. I started texting my Republican friends, stopping them in the halls. They started asking me, hey, we were told to vote against your amendment. Tell me why I should vote for it. The door was open for me to be able to make the case for why this legislation was good for our children. I didn't get all of them. Some of them said, hey, I'd like to support you, but I can't do it on this one. Talk to me next time. But enough of them said, yes, I will stand with you. And we passed this amendment, something they said couldn't be done by an overwhelming majority. This happened because of those relationships that were established from the beginning, not in a transactional way, saying I'm going to come and use you for my own ends to help me in my political future. No, not at all. Let us work together, treat each other with respect to fulfill our mission of service to the American people and solving problems. This is the leadership that I will bring to you as your president. Where one of the first things that I'll do is invite the leaders of the House and the Senate, Democrat and Republican, to the White House to begin to establish this relationship based on respect, much like I did in the House of Representatives. I will be sure to ask my mother to make a large plate of the toffee for that meeting. But making this so that this is the norm, as you may or may not know now, it makes headlines, right? If the president invites leaders in Congress to the White House, it's a big deal because it hardly ever happens. Right? If the president invites leaders in Congress to the White House, that we have leaders in the executive branch and in Congress who aren't working together on a regular basis. Coming together, maybe having dinner, inviting their families over, getting on the phone. Hey, let's just talk about this stuff. Let's talk about this stuff. We all know people in our communities or in our states who are struggling because they can't get the health care they need. That their kids aren't able to get the medicine they need because they can't afford it. This is not a Republican problem or a Democrat problem. This is a challenge that's causing so many Americans to suffer and struggle. Let's come together and work this out. We have threats to our environment. Challenges. We have families in Flint, Michigan, who years after the breaking news was all over every channel and every newspaper about families in Flint being poisoned by water, they're still being poisoned today.